Do-do-do-do. Oh, hello. Hello, hello. Out the chat and move it over here. And get that. Oh, hello, first person. And move that down and say, hi, everyone. Please be over the age of 17 and please be kind to one another. And there we go. And hello, Shara. Hello, Libby. Hello, Daryl Lynn. Hello, Beth Ann. Oh my goodness, it's so wonderful to see everybody. I always go into these things pretty well convinced that nobody's going to show up. So I'm glad to see somebody here. First in the door, absolutely, Shara. Absolutely. And I apologize for being late again. That is the story of my life. I am almost always between 5 and 10 minutes late, no matter what it is, no matter where I'm going. It is annoying, I know. But I'm better than my sister because she is 45 minutes late wherever she goes. So I keep it between 5 and 10 minutes. Most employers frowned on it throughout my working career, but oh well. I worked at most of my companies 10 plus years, so at least they got used to it. Hi, Mona, and hi, everybody. I am going to be coloring today. It is the last Sunday of the month. Happy Memorial Day for tomorrow, considering it is technically it's a long weekend, which I think is so funny, given all the stuff that's going on. And I'm gonna play with my color here for a second, trying to warm it up because it makes me look. Oh, there we go. It always makes me look blue. This light, and I don't want to look blue. I'm not dead. I'm not dead, and I'll turn off the autofocus. Don't want to be blue and don't want to look dead. How is everybody? And did you all enjoy my possum tail? And if you didn't see my possum tail, you got to watch Wednesday's video. Your oldest's birthday is Memorial Day on the 30th. He will be 29. That is just amazing. Now, does that make you feel old, Cheryl, when you've got a kid who's 29? I wonder how my dad, well, my dad would be 100 this year, or next year. So he'd probably be pretty happy that his kids were in their 60s and 70s. And hello, Louise, cooking Spanish chicken tonight. Yum. I am on my plane. I'm on my way to the airport to catch the plane. So hold dinner for me. I'll be there. And I don't fly. Anyway, I do hope that everybody is wonderful. Next time, please record oh no. Are you kidding? To try and have dealt with a camera on top of all of that. Telling you what, Daryl Lynn, I was absolutely firmly convinced every time I opened that door that thing was going to jump out at me. About the last thing in the world I was going to do is take a picture of it and scare it with a flash, because it's dark in that closet. I'd had to use the flash. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to see it. Anyway, so the picture that I picked out, this, by the way, since it's Guest Artist Sunday, excuse me, is Tatiana Bogema Stalova's book, first book of vintage classic coloring pages. And the one I'm going to do is this one that's right here on the cover, of course. I'm going to do it slightly differently, but I like the way that this one was done. And hi, Susan. And hi, Gary. And oh my goodness, it's so lovely to see everybody. So this is the one I'm going to do. And I'm pink, but the page looks blue. That is just so weird that that lighting does that. Stop with the blue look. I want a warmer look. There we go. That's a slightly warmer look. And anyway, uh, so yeah, I gotta say it was the most interesting experience I've had in a while. And then yesterday, because we had nothing but rain for like 3 days straight, I had to get one of those big old palmetto water type bugs. They're just basically giant like roaches. Um, Although they call them water bugs because of their size. Roaches tend to be small and brown, and these are big and black. And I had to get one of those off the ceiling. Ick, ick, ick. So, the creatures are definitely out and about at this time of the year here in Virginia. And anyway, so I'm about to use a whole bunch of yellows here on my pumpkin and see what I can do here. That's the sun yellow. I want the cad yellow. There's the cadmium yellow. And actually the sherbet lemon's going to be, well, the sherbet lemon's probably good. So how is everybody? Did y'all have a good week? I'm just being very, very light with this. I'm gonna pull it down here in just a second. As soon as I pull up the zoom controls. Zzz, zzz, zzz. Complete with sound effects. Zzz, zzz. And well, they're ugly. They're ugly. They won't, obviously they won't hurt you, but they are, kind of freaky looking. And so, hi Jill, nice to see you. I moved the microphone closer in front of my face, so I don't want to shout at y'all. So what I'm doing is that this is a very light yellow, and of course these are my Inktense. I know I keep sticking with these guys, and I'll go back to other coloring mediums, I promise, but I just need to use my Inktense for a while. Mostly because I keep hanging out over in Dee Dee's stream, and Elaine, I think it is, over there, is always ragging on how much she hates Inktense. So I do it more to spite her. Not that I think that she watches my channel, but I sort of got snippy with her the other day. And I'm never like that. I said, Elaine, with all due respect, some people like Inktense. I guess we can do that with people that we don't know. So this is the cad yellow, and I'm just adding it into all of the lightest spots because it is one of the lightest of the yellows. So then I'm going to add darker colors around it. I've been working a lot in my book. Oh, okay, I need to get over there. I've been so bad about not showing up in the group as often as I was. And I need to get back to doing that because it's important. It's important for me to do it. It's important. It isn't that I don't care. It's that my mind has been in other places. And I've been trying to sort of pull it back a little bit to you know, more to down to earth. I have been, I don't, guys, I don't know what's wrong with me. Um, and I just seem sort of, there's just, I try every day to, you know, to do the stuff I'm supposed to do. And then I end up watching the news. And I get so, excuse me, I get so not depressed, and that isn't the right word for it. Um, Discouraged, I guess, because you know everybody's playing politics and everybody's got excuses, and you know everybody's trying to lay blame all over the place, and blame this country and that country, and I'm like, you know, guys, that just isn't useful. It's just not useful. Not useful. And, you know, so I just sort of turn it all off, and then I feel guilty that I turned it off. This is the burnt orange. I thought I'd just throw a little of that in a few places here. Um, so I do it to myself. I sort of depress myself by watching the news. I shouldn't do it. I just shouldn't do it. I know I shouldn't do it, but I do it anyway. So to compensate for that, uh, and to sort of bring me back, I've been watching a bunch of. I tell you what, I am still shocked at the number of free movies that there are on YouTube. Just incredible numbers of really cool sort of story driven movies. I like in the last couple days I watched all three of the Ultimate Gift movies. Did anybody else see those? The one where James Garner is he's plays like a really rich guy. He's dead, and he leaves his grandson um, a list of things that he has to accomplish if he wants his inheritance. And so he gives him the gift of learning how to put in a hard day's work, and the gift of the value of $1, and the gift of family, and the gift of gratitude, the gift of friends. All of this stuff is just drives right up my street for how I wish the world was. And and so I like all of these movies. There's 3 of them, and they all involve, in one way or another, the same group of characters. But they're all quite different. And anyway, so I watched those, and then I watched a really cool one. I have a tendency to like romantic movies that are not about falling into bed. I like actual romantic movies. And so one that I watched, which was so cool, and these are, of course, all films that would never have made it into theaters. They're just TV they're made for TV movies is really what they are. Whether or not they originated on Lifetime or whatever the equivalent in other countries of Lifetime TV is, I don't know. I'm also going to pull some, because I've sort of pulled my burnt orange and my cadmium orange, and I want to go ahead and also pull in the baked earth and the red oxide. So let me grab those out of the other tray. And, well, it certainly can be, but it's not all there is. And it's like the tiniest part of romance. It's like there's a great line at the end of a movie that I just watched just today. As a matter of fact, it was about there's a rich family, and the dad has died, and he's had children with various women, and they're all spoiled brats. Um, there is sort of one sensible one, right? And so at his funeral, this woman walks in. None of them knows who she is. They've never seen her before. She walks in, she lays a single white rose on his coffin. She cries, uh, hugs the coffin, and then turns around and walks out. And so now everybody in this family is convinced that she must have been a mistress, and so they set about trying to find out who she is. Uh, it turns out she was an actress who was hired to play the part by the eldest son, who was being a jerk and trying to hurt the current widow. But it's the sensible son who goes after this woman and eventually follows her to Mexico to try and find out who she is. Anyway, they proceed to supposedly fall in love over the course of the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, there's this wonderful guy who's lived down there the whole time, waited for her to come home, has been in love with her since he was like 7 years old. And his line is, you don't just fall in love with in a couple of weeks. It's taken me 16 years to learn how to love this woman. And she's still torn, right, over which one of them to choose until a disaster happens, and they're all three of them are very nearly killed. And of course, it's at that point in time that she realizes that the person she truly loves is the one who she has the history with, not just the one who infatuated her for a few weeks. Because when push came to shove, the guy that she wanted to meet in heaven when they died was him, not the other guy, not the new guy. So, and they didn't actually die, thank goodness. But she had a dream that they got blown up in a fire. A building exploded, and you had to sort of have watched to understand what was happening. But so I'm just adding all of these oranges in: the burnt orange, the red oxide around some of the darkest areas. Like the red oxide will go. Whoops, I've got the red oxide in my hand. The red oxide will go down in here because it is a darker red, orangish red. And then I'll also use the baked earth. And I'm just really putting that where Tatiana put in the shading. And then I'll use the actual pumpkin. Is there pumpkin orange in here? I think there is. No, that's a mid vermilion. That's a scarlet pink. I could have sworn that there is a pumpkin orange. It's over here. It's over here in the other used. Sienna gold. Isn't there a pumpkin orange? Christine, hello. No, there's no pumpkin orange. Okay. I'm thinking of a different set. Yeah, no pumpkin there. Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome. And hello, Rain Janes for less. I love that. I know, and I have to write your name down. I do have to write it down somewhere. I want to pumpkin prismas. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. I'm thinking of the pumpkin in the prismas. All right, so what I do want is the burnt orange then, which is as close to pumpkin as I'm going to get here. All right, so I'm throwing all of these sort of in. And we'll do this one section here and see how it looks, because right now I'll bet it looks pretty boring. But anyway, so they're all very similar. They're all, all of the ones that I watched are long on story and short on, I mean, certainly there's, certainly they fall into bed, but which is, I mean, I certainly would want a test drive before I married one of them, before I married anybody. But it's not all there is to life, kind of thing. Not to a long-term relationship. And but one of the really cute ones that I saw was a you know what? I don't have anything down between these. Was a guy. He works for an all-night. He works for an all-night delivery service in LA. And yes, there are all-night delivery services in LA because they're constantly delivering movie manuscripts and last-minute note changes, things like that. At least there used to be. And so one of his customers has a daughter coming in on an airplane into LAX, and it's going to be a hardship for him to go get her himself. So he volunteers to go get her, thinking he'll just go pick her up from the airport and then take her back to her dad's house, right? Well, of course, she is adorable and suspicious of what I think the first few scenes, it sort of became really clear that I liked her, because the first thing she did when he walked up to her was call the dad to confirm that he had actually sent this guy, so he wasn't just some guy picking her up at the airport. So I said, okay, so she's got a brain. That's good. But at any rate, so, the dad never has time for her, and they end up spending much of that evening together. And at the end of the evening, she wants to watch the sunrise, and he's starting to get very, very nervous. So you're like, well, is he a vampire? Maybe, I don't know, because there's not a lot of backstory so far. You see why I like Inktense, guys? So anyway, so he's got porphyria, or a version of porphyria, which of course, he can't be out in the sun because it burns his skin. And porphyria is a very real condition. It's somebody is actually allergic to the sun, and their skin just burns to it just burns to a crisp. They have burns. and it comes untreated. It can really mess you up. So and his doctors in the meantime have been trying to get him to go to treatment for it, which you can treat it with very, very limited exposures to UV light, so that you can sort of build up a tolerance to it. And wait, it's mermaids. Oil diggers are using sonic noise, driven them to land as they can't. Oh, wow. Now that's a new one on. That's a new one on. Now I don't have Amazon Prime, but ooh, that one sounds good. And why are you feeling anxious, honey? Because you can't go to New Zealand? Or because the country's opening up and the counts are getting higher again? Anyway, but what I liked about it is, of course, is that it was another one of those that, was cute. It was full of witty conversation and um, and story, actual story. Like for instance, she's trying to find a way to tell her dad that she's not going to go into business with him, that she actually wants to. She's taken a job in Japan, and actually, where she's going to be under contract to teach English for a year and possibly as long as 3. And in the meantime, he wants to be a chef, not a delivery driver. And so he's saving his money to buy a food truck, because that is, in LA, that is the way to go. Because that way you don't have the overhead, but you still have the clientele, because people love food trucks in LA. And I imagine they do in San Diego as well. Is that true, Shara? Or do you know? We used to always go to the food trucks that used to come down Wilshire Boulevard. And then what they do is they sit in a parking lot at the lunch hour, and everybody goes and orders food, and they set up tables, and they do all of that. And then as soon as it's like 1 or 2 o'clock, they pack everything back into the truck, and off they go to the next location, which is usually dinner. But they have to go, pick up more food and do all of that kind of stuff. It's really a nifty operation if you don't want to have a ton of employees and a ton of overhead. So anyway, there are just a ton of, and there's romantic comedies, there's all kinds of different movies on YouTube. You and Rollies, we're just talking about it. He's a great cook and really enjoys it. And that's just, that is, like I say, we used to go to the food trucks all the time. It was just wonderful. Okay, so now I'm trying to keep my darks dark down here. So this is a baked earth again. And I want the red oxide again. Down in here. And in here, where it's dark, so where she's gone really dark, that's where I'm putting in the red oxide. And then the second layer of dark, that's where I'm putting in the baked earth, because it's a little bit lighter. So here's now that's the burnt orange. This is the baked earth. So you're just when you're coloring these, this I love Tatiana's art. Of course, she's most well known for the nice little town books, but the Vintage Classics 1, 2, and 3. Are also, not only are they available as print books through Amazon, because she's a self-published author like I am, artist like I am, they are also, she has them as PDFs in her Etsy shop. So, yes, exactly. Yeah, we used to call them roach coaches. But not anymore. Now they're food trucks because, sorry, I'm drinking coffee. Most of them are gourmet. So they are serving very, very good food. And they are quite expensive. Some are cheap. You can still get tacos, and, there are trucks that deal in that. That used to be what you'd get. You'd get really, I mean, it's some of the best Mexican food I've eaten has come off a food truck. Um, and I adore Mexican food. I mean, it's safe to say that I adore Mexican food. But yeah, they're not roach infested. They're health inspected to death, and they are very, very in vogue. Yes, and quite pricey, but you get really good food there. Okay, so now let's see about. I keep forgetting this section in here, don't I? All right, I want the burnt orange now. Give me the burnt orange for this up here. And a little bit of the sienna gold for around in here. So this sort of transition to that really light gold. And then also the sienna gold sort of in here lightly. And the, not the red oxide, the baked earth, that's the one. Sort of go along in, just adding a little bit of baked earth over that burnt orange to sort of darken it up. Okay. And now, let's make some magic. If there is something in the chat that you want me to see, oh yes, good Mexican food, be sure to put it in caps. Otherwise, I'm trying to do my best to read it. But I'm also sort of concentrating on this because I do want at least there to be something in color on the page already. So I'm not doing this part in here where the mice have chewed it yet. So that's why that opening looks so bizarre. And I am doing each section separately. I find that way, excuse me, I don't cross-contaminate the like for instance, I just tried to do that. I don't want to pull down so much of the dark color into the light. I want the light to stand on its own. Like I got a little carried away there. So I think that would look much better if it was more yellow and not as orange. Now I want the tangerine. Yeah, because the tangerine is a light orange, so I want it around, or a bright orange. I want it around the outside to be kind of like a glow. Go with that. So there we go. I don't know. Well, to have a mouse, yeah, to have a mouse nibble your the chances are pretty good that other than the hole, you would never know. Because if the mouse heard you coming, it would be long gone. I know I should. There are mice and creatures that we never even know are there. Heck, you know, finding a possum in your closet. Jeez Louise. I still can't believe that. I still laugh every time too because it's just, I mean, it was just like such a comedy of, if somebody had caught it on film, I'm sure, you know, first there's the freak out in the kitchen. If the cat is there, what is in the closet? Oh my goodness. I was, yeah, because I was sure it was the cat. There we go. All right, so now we need to do a green. Now these are awfully gnarly green. Why not? It's just paper. It's just paper. I use water mediums all the time in my books. You know, because I publish through Amazon as well. And yeah, this is Inktense, and this one's Inktense, and that's what the back of it looks like. This was actually alcohol marker, but you know the Inktense, all it does is just sort of shadow the back page. It doesn't bleed through. This is pencil. So it obviously doesn't do anything to the other side. Yeah, but you know what? you just sort of learn to work with it. It's, you know, it's not really, it's not that big a deal. It's just not. If you like an image, you know, you can always copy it onto cardstock if you know, there are definitely people that are um, for whom you know, they feel like they got to have different paper. I just don't happen to be one of them, and so, you know, it's fine. But you know, there are so many. I mean, there are so many good artists who are self-published and who are publishing with KDP or with Amazon, and so you either have to say, no, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna color anything by those artists, or you have to learn to work with the paper, and that's really what it is. It's not that the paper is bad; it's that people don't know how to work on it, or they don't want to work on it um, for whatever reason. But I love it. I mean, I don't. It's not my first choice, and believe me, if Amazon would give us better paper, um, you know, at a decent price, um, we could order it on color paper, you know, color print paper, but then it's got a coating on it and the price is 4 times. So if I sell a book for $9.99 and I only get to keep $3 of that. I mean, all the rest of it goes to Amazon and to the printing costs. So, you know, if I up the price a bit, I mean, people are already saying they don't want to pay that much for a book anyway. So, you know, what do you do when you're competing with, you know, with booksellers who can discount it to $5.99? So we got to do the best we can. That's a really long way of saying I don't mind the paper. All right, this is but then of course I learned to work with it by necessity. And I've never had a problem with it. Never ever had a problem with it. Now I have had a problem with water mediums on some of my more expensive books. For instance, what's the one that didn't we tried a water medium in one of the really, Layla Dooley's book. That was it, on that absolutely incredible cardstock, you know, in Layla Dooley's book. It won't take water, not at all. So, all right, and now we've got, this is the, do I want the apple green? No, I don't. I want the spring green. Yes, better. Okay. So I'm going to put some spring green in here. And this is that old sort of gnarly stem. It's not really green, but we're going to pretend that this one is. Because I can always add sort of dark brown into it later. I think I may add that one right now. No, I don't want to. I want to do it green first, and then I'll add the dark, because I don't want to muddy it up. Yeah, well, Creative Haven is mass produced, for one thing. They're printing tens of thousands of them. And oh wait, no, are you talking about Creative Haven or Creative Heaven? Or Coloring, yeah, Coloring Heaven. Creative Haven. That's it's a Dover line, right? Yeah, those are the Dover books that are printed on the perforated paper and all of that. They order them by the tens of thousands. That's how they can do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's how they can do it. They order because they pre-sold all of those. You know, Dover is probably the biggest coloring book publisher in the world. Um, and it would be it's like kind of everybody's dream to get a contract there. But on the other hand, they're you know, like I know Marjorie and Marjorie Sarna and her partner. I can't remember his name. I'd have to go to my artist group and find it. Because she and he are both in the artist group that I belong to. But I know for a while she was self-publishing too. She gave up. Yeah, magazine is Coloring Heaven. Yeah, okay, got it. Thank you, Shara. Yeah, the books. Yeah, and exactly, Crystal, which is why they're ordering them by the tens of thousands. A typical publishing run of a book is 5,000 copies. So these guys are, you know, if they're ordering 10,000 of each one, or even 5,000 each of, you know, 50 books at a time, that they're contracting to have printed, they're being printed for very little money. Okay. So, and that's, I mean, that's great. They're printed in China. The paper is, you know, the paper is wonderful. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons why we had sort of a tough time with getting like replenishments of toilet paper and stuff like that is because a lot of the raw materials that are used, even if the toilet paper is manufactured here in the US, come from China. And so I'm trying to decide on the colors for these mice. I'm thinking that I want the mustard, which is gold. I want the mustard for around his little face. I'm going to use it really lightly. He's got to have a pink nose, and around this light spot here. Okay. So my mice are going to be sort of brown and gold color. All right, so I want this to be also sort of gold here. And this light part here on the hip. And a little bit down this arm. So every place that she's left off the shading, that's where I'm putting the gold. Okay, now I'm going to move up to the amber, which is the next sort of color up, and I'm going to come away from the gold with the amber. Sort of come around it. I can always add more color later, but I don't want to get it too dark to begin with, but I want it to be dark enough to be able to tell how the colors are going to blend together. So this is closer to the base. Now I'm down to the tan, which is the next one down. And as I'm so you can see what I'm doing here, I started here and I'm working my way slowly down. So That's the mustard gold. Then I use the amber. Now I'm going to use the tan, and then I'm going to go to the saddle brown. So just progressively getting darker to the areas where I want it to be the darkest, just to see how it's gonna look. So hopefully hopefully when we get to the edges, it will be okay. And okay, so now this is the saddle brown down here. So it's my darkest color. I'm using it near the bottoms. Now technically they have excuse me. Technically they have little pink feet and little pink fingers. So I'm going to try and leave those if I can, sort of without color, but even just a hint of pink will probably do. To sort of indicate their little, and the little sort of pink tail. So let me grab the pink is going to need to be dulled down considerably. So I may go ahead and use just a very, very teeny tiny touch of the fuchsia there. I'm just going very, very lightly, one single stroke all the way up. I don't want it to be pink. I just want it to be a hint of pink. So let's see how we've done. I'm holding my breath. Stop holding your breath, Christine. And I apologize that I'm not paying attention to the chat for a second as I'm doing this. I want to make sure that I'm not messing it up. Now this is where Karen at Zucchini Kitty excels at every kind of coloring, but her animals are just fantastic. And so I meant to try and get over there to look at some of the mice that she's colored in, like Mouse Guard and stuff like that, before I started today, but I didn't get over there. All right, so now this is, I think this has got way too much gold in it so far, but I can always dull that down. Again, I can add color. I cannot take it away. So if I err on the side of too light or too gold of a mouse, I can always add a darker color. But you can't get lighter from darker. Okay, now then let's try the little pink tail. See how just even one tiny light drag of that fuchsia pencil gives so much color to that little pink tail and those little toes and these little fingers. Just a hint, and his little nose. Okay, so I can add more browns to him, but otherwise, that is what he looks like right now. I do think I need to add a lot more contrast. He just doesn't look very finished. What color is that? That's the tan. That'll do. There we go. There we go. Okay. So yay. All right, Christine, how did you make my swatch book? This is a really, hi Donna, and hi Melinda, and hi everybody that's here. Okay, how did I make my swatch book? This is one of those cheapo $4.95 sketchbooks that you get over at Walmart. And all I did was to just where I have like a square template. So whenever I get a new a coloring medium in, I just use the square template. It's got all sorts of different squares, different size squares. So depending upon how many objects there are, you know, how many colors I'm swatching, or you know how many pages I want to use, or how much room I might need to show myself what the colors are capable of. That determines the size of the square that I use. And other than that, you know, I just fill in the pages. There are some things that I had swatched this in something else, just cardstock. So I just cut it up and then glued it in the book. These are the glitter paints that I have, the acrylic glitter paints. This was the Black Widow, Scorpions, and Cobras, all 72 all together, done as just one continuous, you know, group of colors. These are my deli pencils, which I had swatched these on my drawing paper, which was a terrible mistake. But since I'd already done it, I just folded that and stapled it in the book. So that's really, you know, that's really all I did, is just, you know, I just, there's really no rhyme or reason. It's basically in order of how I, you know, acquired things. You know, so obviously I got the Neo colors before pretty much anything else. These are the Graphitins, and these are just different blends you can make with them. These are my pretty excellent watercolors, which I have to say are probably my favorites. These are the Cotmans, which are the Winsor Newton watercolors. These are the Royal and Langnickel wash that I got. And this is the Arteza gouache. The Mungyo pastels. And paint markers. I love these Sear paint markers. And the CLALridgeArt markers. the Arteza. I need to use these too. These are the Arteza, excuse me, metallic gouache, and the Arteza real brush pens. And then, of course, my beloved Inktense. These were first, but the page fell out in the book, so I had to tape the old page into a blank page, which is what all this tape is about. Because I use the Inktense more than anything else, so it gets the pages wear out on it. At least they have. So that's what, and it's just like I said, it was just $4.95. The Pentel Dual Hybrid, yes. Glitter markers. Well, it depends. I have two kinds. Hang on. Okay, these are the Zers, and these are hang on, rabbit trail. Oops. Let me get back to this. There it is. Okay, so this is these, and these actually are have sort of a silvery white glitter in them, and they're wonderful. I first saw these over on Anne's channel at A Colorful Life, and they are the Zeyer, Zeyar glitter paint markers. They make them in two sizes. There is the extra fine point, which is what these are, and then they also make them in a bigger bullet nib. But I like the extra fines, and so that is what they look like. And then I also have the hybrid dual metallic glitter gel pens. Now, if I had to choose for a forever type of thing, it would always be the hybrid glitter gel pens, with these as a very, very close second. So, and then I have my these. Now I made all these metallics myself. So the metallics are all down here, and I made all of these with Pearl-Ex paint powder, Pearl-Ex pigment powder. It's a fine mica, and that's what all of these the metallic ones are about. And then the rest are actually M. Graham or Winsor and Newton, and those were gifts from Morticia Bakken. So, and she had all of those. Because she was a watercolor artist, and so she had all of those. And as she was getting rid of all of her coloring or her painting supplies, she apportioned out the tubes of paint in half pans to various people. So I was lucky enough to get one. This is a little dark and a little green for me, but it's okay. As this is drying, I'm liking it. I like the way that looks. The Zers are, I love the Pentel Sparkle Pops are also really cool. Now those are, if I'm correct, are those the pastels, Melinda? The Sparkle Pops are pastels, right? And oh, thank you. Yeah, they're what I did that. They're what I did this one with. Where is it? It didn't get that far away. There it is. They are this one. I did this one with those. With the all the gold with that gold, and then there's a very little bit of the glitter gel pen here, the hybrid glitter gel pen, but otherwise it's all the watercolor golds. I just love those. And I did that because I had the Pearl X and the Coloros, those ones, they're just so expensive. And why would I spend that money or put it on my wish list? Somebody else would spend the money and send it to me when I have something perfectly good that I could use that does the same thing. So yeah, so that's what that was about. Okay, these guys here, I need to darken them up, but let's try another mouse and maybe we can do him a little better. So let's take, I always love that mustard gold, but I'm going to take that mustard gold out and I'm going to start with the tan and see if I can't do a little bit better with how dark this guy is. I want him to be a little bit more brown. On the other hand, he could be being struck by the sunlight. That kind of thing. So, and oh, I forgot his little ears should probably be pink, shouldn't they? See, that's where I went wrong there. I knew there was a reason. His little ears are supposed to be pink. They have the Milky Pops and the Solar. Okay, so all right. So the Sparkle Pops are the sparkles. I'm gonna assume they're sparkly. All right, here's the Saddle Brown. We're gonna take that as the second color. Now watch, this one will be too brown. But that's how we learn. We learn by making mistakes. So if it's too brown, well then this one will just be too brown. We'll get that third one right. Of course, he is in a position to be dark brown because he's inside. Of course, they also all don't have to be the same color. Not all mice have to be the same color. But mine are always little field mice, so they're always going to be brown as opposed to white, because those are white mice, and I don't know where my white mice come from. Where I'm from, all the little mice are brown. And let's see, that's the bark. That's really dark. I don't want that. That's the dark chocolate. That's what I want. Right there. Okay, and then we'll put that in there. Just a tad of dark chocolate in a couple of places. Maybe down there. Just add a little bit of it there. Can you actually see that? Yeah, you can. Glitter metallic. Got it. Okay. Oops. Hang on. Hang on. There needs to be. I need a little pink. I need a little pink. Where's that fuchsia? What did I do with that fuchsia? Hello, fuchsia. Are you there? Fuchsia. Okay. So we're going to add just a tiny bit of pink in his ear. I doubt I can get it in there at this point on that one, but we'll try. Okay. And this one has a little black nose. Holding my breath again. Okay. That's not bad. So anyway, at the end of this movie, the one about with the Asian guy with the skin condition, he's afraid to tell her, and of course, you know, because most people usually freak out because he actually, he has to live nocturnally. And most women just find him too bizarre. But not this girl. She finds that she likes him a lot. So they actually stay in touch. She goes off to Japan. He becomes a chef on a food truck and starts to take his treatments like the doctors have been encouraging him to do. And who knows? What I like about it is they leave the ending sort of open-ended, so you don't know if they ever get together or not. They were just two people that passed through one another's lives and did good. He encouraged her to make up with her dad, and to have more open and honest dialogue with him about how she feels about the fact that he doesn't put her. Now, see, that one turned out perfectly. So I should have started with the tan up here. Which is good. So, just people who go around doing nice things. People who are good for each other. We pass within each other's lives for reasons. There we go. One quick lick with the brush gives you the perfect little pinkness. For the tail, just want that hint, not, I don't want it to be purple or bright pink, just a little bit of pink and little, whoopsie, that almost got to be too much. Probably is. Okay. All right, you're very cute, little mouse. You'll do. You will do. He still needs to have a little bit of touch-up work done on him, but he's wet now, so I won't do it. This one, however, can be done. So let me grab, oops. Well, that's okay. I didn't need that one anyway. Actually, I did. I rolled over one of my favorite curves the other day. I dropped it on the floor. It was a flat compass curve. because you know a lot of what I draw is symmetrical, so I like to use a straight edge curve if I'm drawing a circle. And I rolled over in my office chair. It fell on the floor. I didn't realize it. And I rolled over it and cracked it. But that's okay. It was only my favorite one. It wasn't the only one I have. Okay, so that is what I did was I put a little bit of the chocolate brown in there just to sort of darken it up. See if that helps it at all. There's the little pink that I added. Okay. All right, so now I can look for that pencil. Oh, hang on. I heard it. I heard it fall. And I need it. It's the dark chocolate. So it's down here on the floor, and I heard it hit the rug. Where'd it go? And now I can't find it. So let me grab the flashlight. Ah, there it is. Oh, did you get all the way back there? Can you tell that may not be the first time that happens? I got a flashlight on my desk for just that purpose because it's dark under my chair, under my desk. All right. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And I'm not quite certain what these berries are or what they came. Oh, they came off of this. So I guess we get to decide what those are. Should they be blue or should they be red? You guys have a choice? You want them to be red? Blueberries or red berries? I am thinking red berries. They can't be cherries, but they could be, oh, this is wine. They could be grapes. Purple berries. Donna, you want them to be purple berries? Okay. I can do purple berries. Let's see here. I've got a thistle and a deep of violetta. That'll work. Okay, so the deep violet. And the reason why I'm always looking at the pencil, or at the name, is because, like most, the pencil, the ends of these are not the color. That is probably the only complaint that I have about Inktense, is that the end color is not the actual color of the pencil. It's a reasonable facsimile, but it's not the actual color. And that sort of makes me a little crazy sometimes. So I'm just going over the darkest areas with the darkest purple, which in this case is the deep violet. And then I will use the thistle I'm purposely leaving a ring around the outside that is light. And then I also am going to leave sort of a lighter, bright spot and see if that works. Oops. Sorry about my stomach growling. I did actually eat, but I made fresh biscuits. Oh, yum. That's what I did this morning. Made biscuits. I had made bread last week, and then I forgot that I made it. Oh, and it got moldy. So I had to make biscuits this morning if I wanted to have toast or bread of any kind. Since I wasn't about to try and make more bread. It was just soda bread, so it's not like. And I did eat part of it, but then I forgot the other part, and so I saw it today, and I said, "Oh, I'll have that." And then I opened it, and it was moldy. I went, "No, don't think so." Can't have that. Now these are looking probably pretty solid, but they're actually they'll look more. The colors will separate when it starts to dry. I hope. Otherwise, I basically screwed these up. And if they're the only thing I screw up today, then it'll be a good day. Excuse me. Oh, hello. Let's see. Cal's Crafts is live, and it is Sunday natter time. No, not blue. Sorry, they are not in the fall. Well, it's just, we have to. High color colic barb. They could be blueberries. They could. Um, but they can be purple too. It doesn't really matter because fall is a reality. This is a fantasy. So you're thinking that because pumpkins come out in the fall, that they can't be blueberries, but they could. They could, because here in Vintage Classics land, there is no fall. We have 2 red and 2 blue and 1 purple. That'll work. Red raspberries. Yum. Okay, now these I want them to be pinks and yellows. I think pinks and yellow. I don't like pink and yellow. I don't like it as a color combination. So, what do I want to do with those? Those kind of look a little. What color would you say those are? Those are looking like they need to be, I don't know. This is going to be pink. That one is going to be pink, so I know about that one. And that's all I need to know. This is deep rose. These are going to be deep rose. I don't know what they are, but they're going to be deep rose. Because in my world, they're deep rose. See how that goes. Yeah, I wished I'd have used a yellow green on that and not a, I mean, it is a yellow green, but I wished I'd have used a little bit more of an olivey green on that. I guess that's okay. All right, so now let's try a little more olivey green. This is a leaf green. We'll use that for our stock. Would you hush, stomach? Whoops. Okay, that, I'm sorry, I screwed that up. That's got to come out. And as long as you haven't activated it, you can erase Inktense carefully. But once it's been activated with water, you really don't want to try and you really don't want to try and do that. Whoops. Sorry, am I putting my hair underneath the camera again? All right, let's see where we are with this. Hopefully you guys can see that. Now I do want to just put a little dab of green from there underneath each of these little leaves. Just so they look more like they're actually attached to stems. And now I can do these. These are sort of fluffy looking. So I'm just hitting them very lightly. And sort of fluffing them out toward the edges. And I am barely touching the water brush. And I think, Rain, I think that is really one of the secrets to working with a water medium on any kind of paper, but certainly any kind of non watercolor paper. And that is just, if you use a water brush with a very light touch, that way you're not putting down an awful lot of water. Because it's the water that breaks down the fibers. Excuse me. It's the water that breaks down the fibers in the paper and causes it to peel. So if you use very light water, I've never peeled any paper since I started coloring. I haven't peeled it. I haven't peeled it. So, but I have a really light touch. Okay. So there's that. Okay. Add pencil to divide them. Oh yeah, I could. Yeah, ink tints are not my favorite to do grapes with. Normally or berries. I would more often, I would use pencils to do it, and I can always go back in and tweak and fine tune that with pencils, and that's probably what I'll end up doing on that. Okay, but I like that. I like that little pink. I also like the idea of using the pinks and the purples in the flowers. So, like for instance, these, I could use just a tiny bit of the sort of a pink blush up here. Sort of very subtly pink on these. And see how that goes. To these three and see how that looks. Just see, I mean, that's really super light. I think that once it's dry, you'll barely see it. And it may end up being a little, I may need to make it a little darker. See, now, this is something that drives me absolutely crazy. The black here on the back, it's a useless step. People will say, well, it saves it from bleeding through. No, it really doesn't. What it does is it prevents you from seeing it has bled through. But it doesn't actually prevent the bleed through. Speaking of which, you can see, even because I screwed up. I put this 2 images down, but look, there's no bleed through on this one at all. So now I'll put this in at the right space. And I only saw it was wrong because when you wet this and you can see that black underneath, that's how I know. So we'll just make these very subtly pink. Although I think what I'll do is I want to change them up from that particular color. They're a little more purple because they're quite a bit lighter, but we'll see. And I'll do the other two, but I want to try also doing Yeah, there have been times when I've colored with ink tints and completely forgotten to put anything, between. And it's one of the, once again, it's just another one of the things that I love about ink tints is that, it just doesn't bleed through. And hang on, I've got the fern and the leaf green, is that right? And the olive green, I think is what the other one that I need. The olive green, the light olive, and yeah, okay. All right, so here's the light olive, and I want that for up here. Once again, being very, very light with this. More just throwing in a hint of color on some of these small objects. Let me look at the swatch book. Because once again, because these are showing the way that they do. Like for instance, see how much darker that light olive is than the fern or the leaf green? So I should be doing these light areas with fern. All right, so I'm going to try and get a little bit of this out. Oops. I had a feeling that I was using the wrong color. All right. Okay, so now I want the fern because it is truly the lightest of the three. So that's better. So if you mess up using ink tints, as long as you haven't activated it, you can fix it. And just like everything else in life, it's easier to fix it before you make the mistake than it is afterward. Okay, whoops, and once again, fern. Okay, now I can also use it for these little guys here. I'm not going to worry if it's not perfect because I can go back in with pencils and fix, or tweak little areas, add, more contrast and more definition. Very much the way Dee Dee does when she uses, now this is the leaf green, when she uses acrylic paints or watercolors or something like that to base with, and or pan pastels, and then goes over it with pencil. Because you can fix an awful lot with your pencils. Okay, now I'm going to go back to that fern here for this side, because this side appears to be in a little more light, according to what Tatiana has drawn for us. And here's the leaf green again. Sort of adding that in. Also pulling it around underneath, because there'd be a shadow under here where this one sort of curls over it. Assuming that the light is coming from above as opposed to below. And now I've got the light olive, which is the darkest. And so for this, I can get in here. And in there, up that side, in that one, down there. Now I can go back to the fern. Add it in. Once again, the lightest shade is the fern. Now I'm also going to use the fern up here. And I'm going to use it pretty much all over, like this was a grayscale. And then I'll add the darker in on top of it. As opposed to dark to light, go light to dark. And it's a rather large area. Oh, hi, Kenny. Because his wife has asthma. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry, sweetie. It's good to see you, Kenny. Technology. Boy, I'll tell you what. It can leave us hanging. It can save our lives. And sometimes it can do both in a very short period of time. Okay, so now this one has curled over. So I'm going to add some of the leaf green. Or actually, I'm going to add the olive green, the light olive, right along the very edge where this leaf is rolling over onto itself. So, and then in here, where it's darkest. And then I'll take the leaf green. And, well, thank you, Kenny, and it's good to see you, too. I sure wish that guy'd get home for you. So he still won't come in even if he's wearing a mask and all that kind of good stuff? Hi, Cassie. Oh, chances are, yeah. I apologize, Cassie. I'm sorry I missed you earlier. All right, so let's see. Having done just that one leaf so far, let's see how we did with it. And then we will, Okay, so this is, all right, this is the rollover. So we want the rollover, we want to be the lightest. All right, now this is the darker, where the leaf rolls over on itself. So we'll roll that in. Okay. I'm going to work from the outer edge, sort of each section. And when you see me reaching away, it's just a wipe off on the little towel there with a little cloth. Sorry about my name. Oh, no worries. I'm going to keep my fingers and toes and nose and everything else crossed for you that is actually going to happen, Kenny. I hope that he's home really soon. It's just not right. So many folks have gotten stuck, away from home, and depending upon the country that they're in and the freedoms that that country allows for travel and quarantine and everything else, they're stuck. I've talked to quite a few people that have stuck loved ones. And I know Canada has been very restrictive. I know what Korea or South Korea and so many have been. We have, of course. I know New Zealand is definitely. I don't know. And it's just, I just want it to go away now. I mean, I realize that that's unrealistic, but nonetheless. And it doesn't help that psychologists keep telling me that, keep telling us all that, that being alone is bad for our psyches and all of that. Because y'all know that I've, other than you guys, I don't see people. I certainly see people. I see them out my window, and I see them, if I happen to have to go to the grocery store or something like that. But so apparently I am abnormal because I don't mind my own company for long stretches of time. So, dear psychologist, quit calling me abnormal, darn it. I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. When I need something in the world, there's a YouTube video for that. I still can't believe that. How do you get a possum out of your closet? Well, let us show you. I mean, it wasn't exactly that same situation, but certainly gave me all the ideas that I would need to execute on what I did do. Oh, good. Yeah, Louise, I see. I knew there was something we had in common. I don't feel abnormal. I don't feel like I should, like I'm some sort of a social pariah because I would, it's not that I shun people. I don't shun people. I just don't mind that I don't see people. When I need to be social, I call people up or I chat with them or I make a video or I, watch a movie. I mean, they're not actually friends, but they're companions for a little while. When this dries, it'll look better. I realize it looks sort of splotchy right now, but it's got to have some more colors added to it as well. So, because I lost a ton of the middle shading, so it needs to have some more middle shading. Okay, so the light olive is the darkest. So we're going to put that there. Just in some of those dark places. Now we'll add sort of the leaf green, a little bit of that in as well. I think I did get a little carried away on that one. I over-pigmented it. Oh, it is 4 o'clock. How the heck did that happen? That's not fair. Wait a minute. Which one of you guys sped the clock up? Come on. Were you that anxious to get rid of me? I cannot believe that it is already 4 o'clock. It seems like maybe it should be 3. All right, so now let's see how this one does. Now this one is curled, and I sort of screwed this up, but that's okay. I can fix this. So that one curled, and this is dark. So let's grab some of that dark from the center. I'm just going to finish this leaf, and then I'll wrap up and go, because I know that Joe Beth is on. So if you are looking for another stream, Joe Beth Sexton, Joe Beth's Crafty Cauldron, I believe, is the name of her channel, is on Cal Withington at Cal's Cal's Craft and Natter. I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong. Natter, I believe, is either a Scottish or a UK euphemism for a chat. Well, natter at you. Is that right, Louise? I honestly don't know. I just know a natter is a talk or a chat. We'll have a natter. Okay, so that leaf turned out a little bit better. I didn't get quite as ambitious with it. Although this one is hiding behind this leaf, so maybe it's okay that it's that brown. So let's say, ooh, yikes! You have to start Italian sausage for dinner. Yum. Okay, look, Louise. It doesn't look like I have to get on the airplane because apparently I'm going to go to Jill's for some sausage dinner, but I'll be there for the chicken tomorrow. For the leftover chicken tomorrow. Because the airplane's going to be late. There we go. All right, now let's see if I can't get a little bit of a better focus on that. Hopefully it is focused. We'll turn off the autofocus. And we will say, hey, everybody, thank you so very, very much for joining me today as I colored this particular picture. Once again, this is, I do like to promote other artists whenever possible. Not that Tatiana needs my help because she has, she's obviously got a huge following. All of her books always do really well, but she is one of my favorite artists. And I do like to tell you about the fact that she has all these print books beside the little, those guys. The nice little town books. She also has, of course, the whatever this one is, adult coloring book by stress relieving, funny and beautiful pictures, relaxing. She's got Valentine's. She did Nice Little Dragons, which is just full of adorable little dragons. She did Awesome Animals. She's done a lot of stuff beside the nice little town books that a lot of people aren't aware of. So that's why I wanted to take it or show it to you. And so everybody, thank you for being here. And until we meet again, please color something pretty. Keep my what? Oh, sweetheart, that means something else here, here in the United States. I'll let somebody tell you. Louise, I love you. It's kind of like the, yeah, never mind. Oh well, yeah, it's kind of like, how we say Fanny here and don't even think about it. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Uh, but anyway, bye everybody. Color something pretty. If it's not by me, this month, make it by Tatiana. Gotta go. Bye. Oh, wait.